Good afternoon and welcome to the Sacred View. We're here with our good friends, Daniel and Melanie. And of course, there's
Jennifer.
And we have a great story to tell you. I'm telling you, if you're driving in your car, pull over. You're going to want to hear this story. If you've got some Kleenex around, get you some Kleenex. But it's a wonderful story, and it's all about a Christian man who loved me in faith. And Melanie and Daniel, we know from the worship with us at Veterans Parkway. And Daniel, how long have you two been married?
We've been married 18 years.
Is that math, Melanie?
On Monday.
On Monday.
Yes.
That was a trick question.
Celebrating our 18th year.
Valentine's Day then, huh?
Yep.
Around February 16th. That's a great time. Smart and clever girl. Yeah, we got married on Labor Day, so you wouldn't forget that. Yeah, do those holidays. So tell us, how many children do you have?
We have 4 children.
What are their ages?
We have a 17-year-old boy, a 15-year-old girl, a 10.
I'm sorry, 10.
10-year-old. 10-year-old girl, and then a 5-year-old boy.
Wow.
4 kids.
So to help with your memory, I'll hold up the picture of your beautiful family here.
Oh, aren't they beautiful? Yeah, we'll take a closer shot and put that on our website. Such a beautiful family, and they're all gorgeous blondes, aren't they?
All blondes.
You did it. You did it all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, Daniel, have you always wanted to be, and tell me what your title is first.
I am an engineer,
Engineer.
and what an engineer is they're essentially a driver of the fire trucks. So I get to drive the big fire trucks.
Oh, wow. What every little boy always wanted to do.
Yes, that's my position. We have like firefighters, kind of like ground workers, and then we have engineers, and then lieutenants, which are more like station managers.
Okay.
So I'm kind of right in the middle there.
You're right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So you're wheeling that truck, getting into an emergency, aren't you?
That's right.
And we want to talk about that one emergency that you had. Tell us when that happened. What was the date?
It was July 22nd, 2025. The way we get a call is our dispatch notifies our station through our radio, and they'll give a who's going, like engine 1. That's what we're on. We're on engine 1, and they give a brief description of where it is. So they say the address, and then they give what's going on, and they said CPR in progress. Baby was just born.
So that's all you know.
That's all we know.
But you rush in to help a baby, and you don't know how old that baby is or anything.
We don't know anything. Sometimes the more description you give us, we get more worked up. We're going to be responding in a fast way.
Yeah.
But definitely your head starts rolling of everything that you need to do, your mindset going into that call. It affects everything.
Different scenarios that might be. So do you put on the lights and the sirens?
Oh yes, emergency traffic. This was at 9 o'clock at night.
9 o'clock at night?
9 o'clock at night.
Wow. So you're racing by. I don't know if your viewers ever do this, but when my kids were little, we started praying for the sirens, whether it was police or fire trucks or ambulances, because there's always something at the other end that needs prayers. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yeah.
So that's one of our can do now things that you can have to your lips. Now, I know that in your profession, cooler heads have to prevail. Is that not right?
That's right. We're responding to, everyone's worst day.
Yeah, it's the worst.
And so whether it's a fire, whether it's some sort of medical emergency or a car accident, we have to come in there and figure out what's going on, what are the priorities, and always there's like life is a top priority, then like
Life.
stopping what's keeping the danger for life to keep happening, and then trying to protect people's things.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the last.
My goodness, that's a lot. So having children, how does that equate with that emergency calls that you have? Do you believe in cooler heads prevail when raising children?
Yeah, just in life, before I had kids to when I have kids, it's completely different perspective.
Yeah.
It's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Happened 4 times. I said to Mel, and I said this in a sermon one time, is I didn't know how my love could keep growing, but it just grew and grew and grew with each child. So just in life, you have all these plans of, I hear young couples or even thinking about like what I thought was going to happen, how we're going to raise kids.
Right.
Until we had kids was just completely different. Plans change.
Plans change. And if it's done within God's love, it's even more beautiful than what we can imagine.
Exactly.
Well, and as a mom also, I'm thinking about you, Melanie. When he gets called out at 9 p.m., maybe the kids are in the process of getting in the bed, or, how do you handle that at home, and how do you feel, and what do you tell the children?
So when he's on shift, he works 24 hours, and then at a time where he's at the fire station, and then he's home for 48 hours. After that, before he's got to get back. So we don't always necessarily see that, but we do FaceTime him every night, so that way the kids can see him and we can pray as a family. Sometimes we'll lead a Bible study with our family, just so that way we're still in that routine even when he's not there. And so the kids know that if they hear a tone go out on the radio, that oh, Daddy's gotta go. And so they know kind of what that means. So, so when you got this call in July, all you knew was that needed CPR, but you didn't know what you were walking into. Tell us what happened when you walked into the house. It was in a residence.
Let me take one step back.
Okay. Yeah.
I said we have lieutenants who are station managers. Well, our lieutenant had injured his calf, and so he had been out for probably several months at this point. So the next people in line kind of step up to this leadership position, and that was me at this time. So I was kind of like the head senior guy on the rig. I've got a 6-year firefighter, a new driver who's driving for me, and a 2-year firefighter. So younger crew, but I think we were real fortunate. They were really good, and we were really jiving as a crew, and could really make things happen on scene. I was pretty happy with our proficiency and stuff. So I'm in a position where I've stepped up, kind of leading this crew, and so it's kind of on me that I'm kind of the scene guy for our crew.
You're the point man.
The point man.
Yeah.
The point man.
Just like a daddy.
Exactly. Yeah. It's exactly caring for them. Yeah. Yeah. Get on to them when they get out of line and everything. It's literally like that.
We won't tell them you said that.
Yeah. So, it's 9 o'clock. So usually around that time, we're kind of like settling down, getting ready for bed, kind of winding down for the day. And, the call comes in where, we're 100%, our hearts are racing. We're going through what it is that we're supposed to do, what we're about to face. We had one of our firefighters just experienced through her sister. So she had a miscarriage at 22 weeks.
Wow.
And she had been kind of grieving this, and we talked about it, and it was really affecting her. And that immediately came to mind, are we going to be able to handle this scene we're about to go into? It's a lot of things going through my mind. I'm the point man, not usually in this position. It's 9 o'clock at night. We arrive on scene. A police department usually responds in medical situations, and they were kind of right behind us. But I was able to exit, and I was the first to go into the house.
Wow.
And
what did you see?
It was in the bathroom, and in the master bathroom. And I guess it's called a water closet. It's where just the commode is in a separate little room. and that's where mom was.
Mm.
And I believe the grandmother was in there as well. The grandmother was holding the baby.
Mm.
The baby wasn't breathing. The skin was very translucent.
Yeah.
And so I got the baby in my hand, and I had her go out of the water closet, and I asked mom, can we step out into the main room? We walk out. So I was helping her walk out to the main room because there was no way to give her care in that small space. Okay.
So you're holding the baby,
Holding baby.
in one hand,
One hand.
caring for the mother in the other hand. That just makes me cry just thinking about that. And at that time, you don't know the gestation of that baby.
No.
But you know it's very, very, very soon.
Very soon. We knew, they updated us with some information that she was a very young girl. So we knew that. And obviously when you're having a baby at home, that's probably not the planned way, right? Usually it's kind of more planned and everything. You're at the hospital. So we're in the bathroom. All my firefighters are in there. We have the mom kind of sit down at a comfortable position. Umbilical cord still attached. Everything's there.
Yeah, everything.
So the baby was still attached to the mother?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
That's why he was holding
Yes.
the baby and the mother.
I was getting that picture, but I wasn't sure. Okay.
That's why we kind of all move in one unit,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Move together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just very unique situation. Baby wasn't breathing.
Mm.
In hindsight, I think she may have been getting some oxygen through the umbilical cord.
Mm-hmm.
No heartbeat. So as I held her, I started CPR with two fingers, just everything that can fit on the chest. There's nothing more space.
Mm.
You start compressions, and my other firefighter had a resuscitation mask to give the breaths. The baby's so small that our mask usually fits the top of your nose to the chin, was around the whole baby's face.
Mm.
Very, very small. And just,
And then you have to regulate that because you can't give them too much oxygen, all of that.
That's right. It was just very sensitive things happening.
It's like this orchestra that you've got to go, the compressions, the oxygen, all of that. Was mother hysterical?
Yes.
Yeah, I would be too. Yeah.
Mother was very upset. Luckily, one of the firefighters was kind of just tending to mom. There's two people involved in this incident, and so both were being cared for at this time. So it was me and another firefighter, and a firefighter with the mom, and giving compressions, we're giving breaths, and pretty much all in the same time, paramedics get there, and cops are flooding the house. Paramedics are coming in. There was 2 ambulances that came. They're peeking their head inside the bathroom just to try and get like what's going on, because there's so many people moving, and
equipment,
all kinds of equipment. They were so good, just professionals. I couldn't ask for a better crew from the paramedics. They knew what they were doing. We worked with them many times, and so we're doing CPR, we're resuscitating the baby. Umbilical cord is getting clamped by the paramedics. Things are moving in the background. Once the cord is cut, I was able to get the baby out, and we wrapped the baby in some towels, and we went into the back of the ambulance at that point. So mom's still in the bathroom. They're kind of tending to mom. Those needs there, and we start to go to work in the back of the ambulance, and the compressions are really fast.
Is the baby still in your hand, Daniel?
Not at this point. At this point, we put her on the cot in the back of the ambulance. Yeah, kind of wrapped up. They're trying to keep it as warm as possible in there.
Sure.
And the doors.
So it's July. That baby's popped out and not ready.
Yeah, it's a very cold environment.
Very cold.
So your mindset in those moments, like, were you thinking? What were you thinking, or were you just acting?
I knew it felt very surreal.
Right.
Okay, I had that in my back of my mind.
Almost like out of body.
Yeah, kind of an out of body experience,
Right.
in some ways, because just such a unique situation.
Right.
I've been in different situations, but this is just,
Completely
tops the
different.
charts. And so, but when your training kicks in, you just kind of act.
Yeah.
And so, and I kind of have to like
That's why training is so important.
just blur everything else out,
Right.
and you just act. You know, I think responders, you have empathy and you have all these things going on, but one of those can't take over or you can't act. So it's kind of a blend of all of these emotions and putting it into your care that you get.
So you're letting the emotions run in the background, the empathy, the maybe a little bit of terror or shock for yourself. Because as you started telling it, I mean, I could see that this still affects you deeply. So all of that is running in the background, but you're just doing what you're called upon to do.
That's right.
Okay.
I feel like you mentioned when he first told me about this that he knew walking into that call that it may be the worst day of his life. Oh. And I know you had some of those worst days. I know that Melanie has shared with us. Sometimes when you've come on to babies that didn't make it and had passed, not the newborns even, but older children too. Yeah.
You know, whoever's involved in the incidents, it's going through trauma. Going to any incident like this, you're going through trauma, whether it's you're experiencing it or not, you're still involved in it, and it affects you greatly. Like, you're saying, I haven't really talked about all these details in a long time, and it's
I
a lot.
I can see it immediately.
Yeah.
You're through.
Yeah.
That's just great.
Yes.
This is what we do at the fire hall, kind of manage our stress and things like that. So,
well, you're just, from what you're telling me, you're back now in the ambulance with the baby still. Are you still doing compressions to 2-finger and give the oxygen?
we're still doing compressions. At this point, there's 4 other paramedics in the ambulance, and I'm doing one thing, and I can just see in my peripheral just people moving all around, doing all these different things, getting things prepped, getting all the medical needs prepped, and all I could do is with another paramedic was compressions and breathing, and it's 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. And I had to verbalize that because everyone's talking and doing different things, and the guy giving the breaths needs to know my count so he can give a rescue breath. So he commended me afterward for kind of like verbalizing that so he could work with tandem and
all have to work in concert together.
Yeah. So baby's getting hooked up with IVs and all this kind of stuff. I'm doing
an IV on a baby that little.
Yes. Yeah. Like they were excellent paramedics. So as we're doing this, I heard a noise, and we all kind of like, did we hear that? And the EMS superintendent says, "Hey, stop for a second." We heard, whack.
No.
Just that little cry, and it almost shocked us. Like, oh, what's happening? It's live. So at that point, we stopped.
Wow.
CPR. We're still very hesitant. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. The viability of a baby is very low.
It is
at this period of time. So we're all elated and just
in shock.
And that's when I kind of stepped out of the ambulance. They were ready to transport. They had done all they needed to do to kind of stabilize it. And so I stepped out. Mom is going to be transported separate to the hospital. She's pretty still upset, so they don't want her to have to be in the same ambulance. And they went to Stonecrest Hospital in Smyrna. And Stonecrest is not intensive care for babies, and they always make these decisions of which hospital to go to depending on the needs and things like that. But they decided to go to Stonecrest, and she got excellent care there.
Oh, that's
excellent care. Yeah.
Well, you really got to, I know that you were at the birth of your 4 beautiful children, and you saw that miracle of life, but this was a different miracle of life when you heard that little cry, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable. Yeah. I didn't want to get my hopes up, but I could leave that ambulance with a lot, knowing that I did everything I could.
And
Yeah.
no regret.
Right.
You fought that baby. How long from the time you had her in your hand at the house to where she was taken to the hospital? What was the time span?
Okay, I was going to bring this up, is that we got the call at 9 o'clock. It took us like 4 minutes to get on scene. So previous to that, I don't know exactly when she was born.
Right.
Could have been minutes, could have been, I don't know.
Yeah.
So whole time on scene was probably less than 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, so you guys were working fast.
Wow.
Just you telling us took longer. than 5 minutes.
That's right. And I think about that on scenes that, like, it took forever, but in reality, I think things slow down when you're in those kind of situations.
I've heard it described as almost like you begin to slice time into very small pieces when you're in an emergency situation.
Mhm.
Like it actually is almost experienced in slow motion by your brain. So did you feel that, where it's just this, like
Yes.
separates out?
Yes, that's exactly what it felt like. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
it's
she
unbelievable.
arrived at the hospital, baby girl.
Mhm.
And how long from when you held her till you gave her to the hospital? How long was she under your
It was
care?
probably 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Hmm.
But that crucial 10 minutes. Because without that first 10 minutes, there's all this about the first 10 minutes of heart attack and all of those things. This was the first 10 minutes of her life.
Hmm.
Yeah, time is always what we're fighting. We have like a golden hour of like, if somebody's trapped in a car, we want to be able to get them out and to the hospital within an hour. Obviously, baby not breathing or somebody not breathing, we need to get there as fast as we can to start intervention. And so that was our goal. That was our mindset coming into this call. We did everything we could. We think we got baby back, and weren't sure, but we kept in touch with the
Yeah,
hospital.
she didn't leave your heart, did she?
Oh no, there was nothing else I could think about. Just like what's going to happen, and baby's alive and well today.
Well,
Praise God.
Praise God.
yeah, that was July, and here we are in February.
Wow.
So she was released from the hospital when?
She was in NICU for 149 days.
Wow.
That's a long time. And that's the neonatal intensive care for babies. Those of you who don't know NICU.
And this was they call it like a micro premature baby, just ultra small.
Tell us what they finally decided her gestational age was.
So she came in at 700 grams weight. Just
under 2 pounds.
yes.
Just a little over a pound.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Gestation was between 22 and 23 weeks.
Wow.
My chief, we're very competitive as firefighters. Not that this is a competition. We want to, but if we can get a record, we're going to get a record.
Yeah. Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. It's a very competitive environment. We lost the world record of earliest birth by like a couple of days.
Wow.
So
Somebody should have doctored that for you.
yeah.
Come
the
on.
world record was in a hospital. Yes. It was not in a hospital. Yes.
Okay.
Now,
Wow.
just to put it into context, before the show, I gave you a little tease. So when we talk about this baby at 22, 23 weeks, the average length is 10 inches. That's the length of this little branch. And her little system was fragile, like this, wasn't it? And her weight is equivalent to 6 little mandarin oranges. Yeah, just think about that. Hold your hand down. Show me how you can hold like a little.
Don't drop it.
Yeah, don't drop it. Does that about feel like baby girl?
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Boom. And that's what we need to think about. Now, in a lot of states, that 22, 23, 25 plus can be aborted. But through what Daniel and his team did, this baby now has life. And to me, that's the most powerful thing that I can say as a Christian that we should be doing. It's looking towards life. And certainly having Christian firemen and people who will take care of those lives. You saw life differently, didn't you, from that, when you see babies aborted and this little girl lives.
Absolutely. I was there every time with our 4 children and got to see this, and you know, such a surreal thing, to see and witness, like, this is our baby.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
our baby. Yeah,
Uh,
it is.
See how precious it is, and seeing the other baby, and I was going to do everything I could. So
You're going to find. Well, the thing that I think about is that we live in a world of that it's all pro-choice, pro-choice, pro-choice. But this baby's story and her life just screams, doesn't it, pro-life?
If anyone's thinking about having an abortion or something like that, and just realize there was a 22-week baby born and lived.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
It is amazing. And that you responded and everybody put that together. Now, David, my husband, and I were invited to go to the ceremony where they awarded and honored the team, Daniel and his team. And that was so moving. And at that ceremony, the hospital administrator stood up and he said, we've had 22, 23, 25-week babies born in our hospital that have no survivability, but that this baby came from outside here. That's the truly unbelievable, but all God component. And they gave Daniel this certificate, and I asked them to bring it today because I want to read it to you. It says, this certificate is awarded on the 19th day of November 2025 in recognition of your exceptional contributions to the care and resuscitation of an extremely premature infant born at under 22, 23 weeks gestation at home. Your professionalism, clinical expertise, and swift life-saving actions not only resulted in survival, but have allowed the baby to continue thriving and doing remarkably well. The care you provided to both mom and newborn was extraordinary and led to outstanding outcomes for both patients. Now that's a commendation. Don't you ever lose this. It's so beautiful. I just cried all over. I cried when he gave it to you and they read it. But
I want to ask Melanie a question. So obviously this was a trauma for your husband. Did you know while it was happening that he was at something like that, or did you find out later?
He told me a couple days later.
Yeah. Okay. And then what effects did you see in him just being his wife over time, or as he was following her story?
I know it's always, very difficult when he goes through like a traumatic situation, and if Daniel, he's not a man of a lot of words, and so he normally kind of processes things and kind of thinks about it for a little bit before he lets me know. And normally I can tell if he's extra quiet, it's something traumatic has happened and he's trying to process through. So I try the best that I can. I'm a talker, so it's the best. I'm always the best at it. I try as hard as I can to just try to make things as peaceful as I can at home for him, while I know that he's trying to decompress and try to just remind the kids, just that as much as they need their dad, but as much as we can, just to try to let daddy rest when he needs to, just to process things.
So just be in a safe place.
Yeah.
A place to rest. And then I'm thinking, Daniel, for you, as you went into this, as our theme with this podcast is the sacred view. And so we're thinking about how we are going through life trying to see through God's eyes, trying to see with his thought, or trying to think with his thoughts, trying to live in his purpose. And what you did that day clearly is a demonstration of what God's eyes see, what God's thoughts know, and what his purpose is. You walked it out. Is there any verse that you think of, or is there anything about your walk with Christ that you would say, this is what informs me in moments like that? This is what enables me to just act. I don't know.
Yeah. What comes to mind is just how God knew you in the womb. Just how, we can explain how life is kind of created and things are formed and all the molecules come together, but God puts a soul in a human. And so the world might not see, this lump of flesh as life, but it is life.
And then you were there when she took in her first breath of life, which is amazing. It makes me think about how God has put his breath in us, that he is what animates us all. That's tremendous. I'm very thankful to hear your story. It's inspiring to me.
No, thank you.
I'm very thankful that Melanie told me about your story.
Yes.
And said that they were going to have this presentation. I said, "Oh, David and I are going." And she's like, "Well, I don't know if anybody's invited." And it was wonderful, and it was humbling, and to see all the interaction and how everyone at that meeting were all professional caregivers, life givers, health givers, all of that. And they thought this was a step way above what they were doing. And that was a wonderful honor, because I'm happy to see people in healthcare honoring life in that way.
It was so neat to me just to hear even like the hospital professionals talk about how this was miraculous.
Yes,
wow.
They did use that
recognizing that's right necessarily say God, but they were saying like there's no way. I think they said less than 1% chance of a baby at that age being revived or being able to live not in a hospital setting.
Yeah.
So they said it was just nothing but miraculous.
Yeah, when you consider a bathroom, which we don't know, how clean it is. I mean, not casting aspersions on this young girl, but still, even at its cleanest, it's not like a hospital. And all of those things, it was all against you. And if you would have known that going in, you still would have gone.
That's right.
Yeah.
Every statistic, every odd is saying that there's no chance of life.
Okay.
Statistically 0. But that's not the perspective that I'm going to come in and to help somebody with.
Because God.
Because God. Yeah, it was really, you mentioned the ceremony and everything, just to see, we are one link in the chain of medical care. So I don't normally see every step after, but it was neat to see that I did my part the best that I could, and they did their part the best that they could, and God did the rest.
And a successful little baby lives because of that.
And I couldn't think of any other better people to come witness that with me, with all your work and support of life and adoption.
Yeah.
So I invited you guys.
These are my people. And it was wonderful because, like you said, they were using the word miraculous, which isn't usually said in the healthcare environment. And hopefully, and I don't know if anybody on your team would have, even knowing how you are pro-life, would have said it's too much, give up. But I know you, and I know you would have been there all day, whatever it took to keep baby girl alive at 2-finger compressions on a little mandarin orange. About that.
It makes me hope that she will get to know her creator.
Yes. Well, I hope that she gets to know Melanie and Daniel and their family.
And maybe through you. I mean, you never know. And it also makes me think about when Angel Gabriel said to Mary, nothing shall be impossible with God. And you went into that as a person of faith and already knew God can do whatever he wants, right? And he used you to walk it out.
And
it's beautiful.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming and telling us your story and being so candid with us. And I know that all of you who listen to the whole program, you're affected by what is going on in this world. And I hope that you're encouraged by knowing that there are firefighters and people out there like Daniel who are going to care for you and your family and the world with God's view, the sacred view. Thank you.